Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. It is just after 7 a.m., about approximately 7:15 a.m. I am Kimberly De Souza in your company, and I am really excited to introduce you to my next host. We will be talking to the British High Commissioner, Her Excellency Harriet Cross, about how you can shadow her for a day.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Of course, thank you so much for coming to discuss this amazing mentorship program, I think it is, which of course you're launching in Women's History Month. Just tell us a little bit about the program.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity for boys and girls to apply to be an ambassador for a day, which means they get to come in and spend a day with me. I'll make sure it's an interesting day. I get some interesting meetings, conversations, trying to cover all sorts of things that I would normally cover in the day. But the aim is for these young people to realise that they too, it's not that they want to be a diplomat, but they want to be a leader, somebody who takes decisions, somebody who does like a difficult job. And we want to show people that this is available to them. It's not just like something that other people do.
Right. Now, what is the age group for this program?
So it's 12 to 17 years old.
Okay. And how does one enter?
So you can enter in a number of different ways. So you can write a short sort of essay, it's only short, as to why you want to be ambassador for the day. Right. But you can also enter in Braille, and you can also do a short little video as well, because we wanted to make sure it was as inclusive as possible. So some people just either they can't write essays, they don't want to write essays, they might, I think it's more usual for kids nowadays to do a short video. So you send it into an email address, ambassadorforadaytt@gmail.com. You can get the details on our Facebook page, and it's really, we want everybody and anybody to come and try out and get into this program.
Now, you mentioned Braille, so is it that you're going to be partnering with certain institutions for this program?
Yeah, so we're partnering with the Blind Welfare Association and the Association for the Hearing Impaired in Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice. And when do applications open?
So it opens on March the 8th, which is International Women's Day, and they'll be open until April 8th, so you've got a whole month to do this in. But we're also speaking to like the St James Youth Club, for example, because it's also I think sometimes people think that leaders are like rich, posh people. And that's really not the case at all. And that's the other thing. We want people from maybe backgrounds that wouldn't normally think of themselves as sitting in an office and taking decisions and like being an important person. Right. But that's open to everybody. Everybody should have the ambition to do that if it's something that they think they're capable of. Nice.
Now, you're doing this in Women's History Month, but I also realized that you said that boys are also open to apply. How important was it to get boys on board in this program?
Really important. So this is the first year we've done it. Up until now, it was only girls.
Right.
But I think the conversation nowadays is about if you want women to be empowered, men need to be part of the conversation and part of the solution. And if women are in the economic space, if women are leaders, then that's going to help men as well. Right. I think sometimes there's this sense that like an alpha male is the person who's a leader or who's an ambassador. And actually, if you get women in the space, but also men who maybe would not necessarily be an alpha male, it gives this whole different picture of leadership that, again, is more inclusive, and you just get better results at the end of the day.
Now, I know you said that it's going to be shadowing you for a day, but any particular activities they can look out for? Like maybe just an example of one they can look out for.
Okay, so we've written to some ministries to ask them if they would meet us on that day. So we might, for example, be talking about climate change, renewable energy. We might be talking about gender-based violence, about domestic violence. It might be about supporting women who want to get into the workplace from communities where they don't have much employment at the moment, but we're looking to support entrepreneurs. So we hopefully we'll get out of the office for sure and go and see some activists, see some ministries, and hopefully just and some businesses. Right. You know, that's like the spectrum of my work, I guess, across those three areas.
Right. Now, you are the first female British High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago. That has to be something amazing.
Yeah.
How important was it for you to do this program?
Oh, really important. Yeah. Outside my office, there is a picture of every British High Commissioner from 1962, and they are all white men. Okay, there's like 15 different photos, and I kind of find that a bit kind of scary, and I'm like, my goodness, you know?
Yes.
And so diversity in leadership is so important. So I'm really thrilled to be the first female High Commissioner, but it needs to go above and beyond that. That's why we want to reach out to people in maybe disadvantaged backgrounds, people with disabilities, to show that actually that you've got something to give. Yes. Absolutely.
Right. Now, I think this is an amazing program, High Commissioner, I must say, and I kind of regret that I was 12 to 17 so many years ago. I wouldn't say how many because I'm going to reveal my age, but I want to get to you personally. Who is your mentor, and I mean, how did you get to this position?
You know, I've not got an official mentor, but something that I read a few years back was about you don't have to go up to somebody and say, will you please be my mentor? you can kind of have people who are secretly your mentors, that they don't necessarily know about it, but people who you turn to for advice, you look to them as role models, like what would this person do in this situation? And sometimes for me, I also channel that person, because you know sometimes confidence is a really difficult trait, and sometimes you think that's not me, I am not a confident person, or I'm not a person who takes decisions. And if you think, well, what would that person do? Let me just channel that person in this meeting and just to test it out. And sometimes that can be really helpful. A little bit of role playing in your everyday life can be really helpful. So that's what I've done. I've thought, let me remember that sort of brave, powerful woman, and let me just have a little hint of that in this meeting that I'm going into. And it's amazing what that can do for you.
And who was one of that woman?
So I was in Yemen, which was a really difficult country to be in. It was essentially a war zone, because there was a coup and lots of guns and tanks. And I was the deputy ambassador, and there was a woman who was the ambassador. And she had long hair, she was really sort of feminine looking, but she was really strong, and people really respected her and listened to what she had to say. But she listened to other people as well. She took me seriously, and that was really important. She didn't use her status to sort of say, well, look, I'm the boss, so I'm going to do it my way. She really listened to the people around her, and I took a lot from that experience.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned something in terms of she was very feminine, right? And she still kind of exuded power. And I think that's another thing that that woman battled with. We want to be feminine, but we also don't want to come across as weak or shy. I mean, how have you been able to exude that confidence and, you know, still be this leader while still looking feminine? I mean, you have your hair out, you're in a nice jacket, you look beautiful, but you're also still exuding power. How do you find that balance?
I think it's a really difficult balance to strike, because regardless, like sometimes I think, like this morning, I'm like, what do I wear? What colours shall I wear? Shall I wear heels? How much makeup should I put on? And I'm thinking, my predecessor, all those ambassadors before me, they never thought about that. They just put on their grey suit and their tie and walked into the studio. So you have to work harder, I think, to be a woman in leadership, because people are going to look at you differently for sure. I mean, you just see that, or sometimes like comments on Twitter. When I'm looking at comments that people make about other women leaders, why is she wearing high heels if she's doing a serious role? You know, all that sort of thing. So you're just under more scrutiny. So I think sometimes you can't afford to forget about it, because people will comment on it. So that's like one side of that fine line. But then again, there are some women leaders who are like, I'm not doing that whole thing with high heels and makeup. I'm just going to go and do my job and just look however I look. And that's also fine too, you know? So it is a fine balancing, and there's no clear answer to the question that you're asking. But I think really we decide our own narrative personally, and then just other people need to accept that.
Okay, let's transition a bit to International Women's Day. Of course, we're celebrating it tomorrow. Did the High Commission do anything particularly for the day tomorrow?
Yeah, we're working on a project. Well, breaking the bias is the theme for this year. So it's about knocking down stereotypes, actually exactly the thing that we've just been talking about. So we've done some work with UE, talking to young people about what does breaking the bias mean to you, and changing perceptions. And we worked with the EU Commission on that as well. So we're doing all sorts of things. In fact, we kind of do things all through the year for international, you know, women's rights are part of what we do in our everyday life. And I think that having a single day is important, but don't just put everything into that single day. Make sure that you're doing things throughout the year. So that's what we do too.
Nice, good. And so is it something that is more public driven or more like student vision? Because I know you mentioned that you're doing it with UE.
Yeah, we're doing it with UE, but we've also got a public platform for it as well. So we've had some public conversations with the students and done some media with them as well.
Okay, great. All right, and any final thoughts you want to give before we wrap? Anything else you want to add?
I would just to say to anybody listening to this, if they think, God, that's something I'd quite like to do, but I don't quite think it's for me, or I don't think I'd be good enough, or I'm not really sure where to start. Firstly, you are good enough. It is for you. And find somebody to help you. If you're not sure how to do it, reach out to us. I'm on Twitter. People can always find me on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Speak to your friends, speak to teachers, find somebody who'll help you achieve your vision. I think that's really important. Don't discount yourself. Get out there and do it.
Actually, Ambassador, one more question. So we're opening this up to like a teenage population. Anything for the older folks? Not older 18, you know, even early 20s. Any other projects coming up this year for older folks?
Well, I mean, I think send us ideas. I mean, if people want to engage with the British High Commission, we are ready for those ideas. I mean, it sort of needs to be within a particular space. You know, that sort of human rights, climate, security, trade and investment. Those are the spaces that we work in. But I think people should come to us with ideas. If you want me to talk to a group of students, if you're young people who don't really know where to go in the world. I mean, I sometimes think I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Honestly, I still feel that way, and I'm in my late 40s. And so I've really got a lot of sympathy for people who are just a bit like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know I want to do something useful. Right. So if you can partner with the British High Commission in some way, we're happy to hear from you. Don't be a stranger. You know, we're here to engage with the population and not just in Port of Spain. You know, I know there are people listening to this in Tobago, in San Fernando, you know, in South, you know, wherever it might be, and it's open to everybody. Please do feel that we are your High Commission in Trinidad and Tobago, not just for a certain population, it's for everybody. Right.
And can you also tell us where we can find more info about the Ambassador Program, and also just give us one more time the email address to send those applications to?
Yeah, so the email address is ambassadorforadaytt, all one word, @gmail.com. So that's the address. Right. And then the UK in TT Facebook page, and UK in Caribbean Twitter, or Harry VX on Twitter. You'll find all the information on there.
Nice. Thank you so much, High Commissioner, for coming and telling us about this amazing program that I'm sure everybody is just going to want to, you know, apply to. I think your inbox is going to be very full, so look forward to that.
I hope so.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.